After 3 years abroad on a top-secret mission, I finally returned to my homeland with permission granted. I came home filled with excitement, thinking I'd finally see my wife and mother again. But the moment I arrived, that joy was crushed. At the entrance of my house, my mother was crouched inside a small doghouse-like shelter. In front of her sat a metal basin. She was lying on the ground like a dog, eating rotten food from it. A man stood nearby, watching her with a mocking smile. If you want someone to blame, blame your useless son. He died young and left you here to suffer alone. He raised his hand mid-sentence and slapped my mother across the face. My mother flinched but didn't say a word. She lowered her head and quickly swallowed the stinking, spoiled food. Furious, I stepped forward and kicked the man aside. Then I pulled my mother up, tears streaming down my face. I had risked my life for the country, thinking I was protecting the people I loved. But this was how my mother had been treated in my absence. Locked in a kennel, eating moldy scraps like she was some stray animal. Her eyes, once so warm, were now clouded and dull. She looked up at me, but didn't recognize me. "Boy, leave quickly," she said, trembling. "You hit Emily Prescott's secretary. She won't let you go." "Emily Prescott's secretary? He did this to you?" My voice shook with rage. "Just go," she said again, desperate. "They'll hurt you too." "I know you mean well," she added, her voice breaking. "But it's useless. Ever since my son disappeared, she's been tormenting me. If I hadn't been waiting for him to come home, I would have ended it all long ago." Her words broke something inside me. I had trusted others to take care of her. I had believed my mother would live peacefully while I was away. But I was wrong. Behind me, the man I had kicked was getting back up. He wiped the blood from his mouth and glared at me. "You're dead," he spat. "You think you can touch me? Do you know who my boss is? She's the law around here. You mess with me, you're dead." I looked at him, my anger cold now, steady. Without a word, I took out my phone and called Emily. "Hello, who is this?" she answered, her voice flat and emotionless. "So you're the queen of the capital now?" I said coolly. There was a pause on the line, then she replied, "I don't know who you are, but if you're calling to threaten me, I'll find you. And when I do, no one will be able to save you." Her words cut deep. She didn't even recognize my voice. She hadn't saved my number. In just 3 years, she had completely erased me from her life. I clenched the phone tighter, every last trace of patience gone. "I'm at your house right now," I said flatly. "You have 30 minutes. Get back here immediately." There was silence, then panic bled into her voice. "You're at my house? What did you do to my secretary? You'd better not touch him. Stay right there. If anything happens to Tyler Morgan, I won't let you off the hook." On the other end of the phone, Emily's voice rang out with suppressed anger, and I laughed coldly as I listened to Emily's words. She had long since forgotten the mountainous oath she once made with me. I still remember that when I left, she had once said to me that she would take good care of my mother, and even promised that she would treat my mother as if she was her own mother. However, it never occurred to me that after only a few years since I left, she had already changed her heart. She even sat back and watched her own assistant bully my mom. At this moment, all the love I had for Emily had long since disappeared. I hung up the phone and looked at Tyler in front of me. At this moment, I couldn't wait to end him. At the same time, I also gave my leader a call. I questioned him. All these years, he said to take care of my mom. Is that how to take care of it? On the other end of the phone, the leader listened to me and was also completely frozen. "Jason, because you participated in a secret mission, we couldn't come out. But at that time, I had already asked people to take care of your family. I also didn't expect that they would do something like this." On the other end of the phone, the leader was equally furious. "Jason, don't worry. Bullying and insulting a military family member. No matter who the other party is, I definitely won't be able to let it go. I'll send someone over right now." He hung up the phone angrily. And just as I put down the phone, I saw Tyler climbing up. He looked at me, his face full of gloom, staring at me viciously. "You're finished. You have no idea what my boss represents in the capital. Let me tell you, Miss Prescott in the capital, that's the sky. No matter who it is, whoever messes with Miss Prescott won't have a good ending. You wait for Miss Prescott to come back. At that time, I'll torture you." Tyler looked at me viciously, his eyes full of anger. And Mom was on the side listening to my words. Her face was full of tension as she said, "Young man, hurry up and go. I know you mean well, but boy, you really can't fight them. Mr. Morgan, please spare him. He's just trying to take care of me." Mom spoke out in Tyler's direction. I looked at Mom with a face full of heartache. Mom was already completely blind 3 years ago when I left. She could still vaguely see my outline. And at that time, the doctor had told me that as long as she was well taken care of, Mom's eyes would be able to recover. But 3 years have passed, and my mom's eyes not only didn't get better, but also got worse. At this moment, I realized how much my mom had been wronged in these 3 years. For Emily, all I had left at this moment was hatred. Tyler, on the other hand, looked at Mom's pleading appearance and laughed coldly as she spoke out. You want to plead for him? Then you will kneel down and beg me. Upon hearing this, Mom was ready to kneel down, but in the next second, she was pulled by me. At this moment, I had already burst into tears. Mom, it's me. I'm back. I pulled my mom's hand and called out softly to her. Upon hearing my words, Mom froze, and in the next moment, her palm stroked my cheek in panic. Jason? Is it really you? Jason, you're okay. You're finally back. They all said you were dead. I didn't believe them. My child, you're finally back. I listened to my mom's words, and at this moment, my heart had long been like a knife. I panicked and helped my mom up. My eyes had long been filled with tears. Mom, I'm back. Don't worry, I'm not leaving. I gently assured my mother. Don't worry, Mom. I'm here now. But she gripped my arm tightly, her voice filled with fear. Jason, you need to leave quickly. Emily isn't the same person she used to be. She changed. Without waiting for a response, she added bitterly, all she cares about now is that pretty boy. Hearing her words, my heart ached. I held her hand and said softly, don't worry. As long as I'm here, no one will hurt you. Just then Tyler stepped forward, his eyes sharp and cold. So you're Jason Whitaker, he sneered. I thought you were dead. He glared at me with clear hatred. I never expected you to actually come back. Then he smirked. Do you think showing up now will make Emily change her mind? He took a step closer and spoke with venom. Let me tell you something. Emily is mine now. If you're smart, you'll sign the divorce papers, take your blind mother and disappear. His tone grew more arrogant. You think you still have a place in her life? You're nothing now. She's far beyond your reach. I looked him in the eye, my voice calm but cold. Whatever happens between me and Emily is none of your business. He let out a mocking laugh. You really don't know, do you? With a smug grin, he leaned in. Emily is pregnant with my child. That's right. She's mine now. I stared at him without flinching, my eyes frosty. He had no idea how deep the trouble he'd stepped into really was. As for Emily, I didn't feel like saying another word about her. The moment I saw how my mother had suffered, I knew Emily would have to pay for what she allowed to happen. Tyler continued, his tone full of threats. I'm Emily's man now. She has powerful connections in high places. With just one word from her, you'll be finished. You should kneel down with your blind mother right now and bark like a dog, or I swear I'll make you regret it. I didn't move. My gaze never wavered. But my mother, terrified, tried to kneel. I'll kneel. Please just don't hurt my child. I quickly held her back and whispered, Mom, don't be afraid. As long as I'm here, no one will lay a finger on you. Then I turned to Tyler, my voice sharp and steady. Even if Emily herself comes, I'll make her pay for what she's done. A cold, female voice suddenly echoed from the doorway. Oh, you're going to make me pay? I turned and saw Emily marching in, surrounded by bodyguards. The moment her eyes met mine, she stopped in her tracks, stunned. Her belly was large. She was clearly pregnant. Jason? She asked, visibly shocked. You're back. She instinctively placed a hand on her stomach, panic flickering across her face. But when she met my cold, emotionless eyes, she quickly regained her pride. Her tone turned sharp. You still have the nerve to come back? All these years you disappeared, she snapped. If it weren't for me, taking care of your mother, she would have died a long time ago. I let out a cold laugh. This is what you call taking care of her? I pointed straight at the doghouse where my mother had been crouched. Emily lowered her head, silent, but the guilt in her eyes said it all. Just then Tyler jumped in. Emily, he hit me the moment he showed up. Look, I'm covered in bruises. He rushed to her side, grabbing her hand like a helpless victim. You have to stand up for me. Emily's eyes instantly filled with concern. Jason, how could you? You've gone too far. How dare you attack Tyler for no reason? But as she yelled, I didn't even feel angry anymore. I was done with her. I only looked at her with the same icy stare. Seeing my expression, Emily faltered. But she quickly straightened up and snapped again. Jason, just for laying a hand on Tyler, I could have you killed. Apologize to him now. She folded her arms. And since you're back, let's just settle this. Sign the divorce papers. I looked at her calmly. Divorce? Fine. But do you really think I'll just walk away, because you say so? Before she could reply, Tyler cut in. What more do you want? He spat. Emily is being kind, and you're taking advantage of it. Should have crushed you the moment you walked in. Sign the papers and get lost. Then he turned to Emily with a confident smile. Emily, why are you even wasting time on him? Once he's gone, we can finally be together, he added softly. Think about our child. Emily's expression turned cold. She looked at me and said sharply, Jason, sign the divorce papers now. Take your mother and leave. If you don't, I won't be so polite next time. Then she turned to her men. If he refuses, force him to sign. As soon as the words left her mouth, the bodyguards rushed toward me. But I didn't flinch. My expression only grew colder. They had no idea the storm they had just called upon themselves. Just as I was about to act, the front door was kicked open. A group of armed men stormed inside. What do you think you're doing? Someone shouted. Emily and Tyler froze in place, stunned. Who let you in? Emily screamed. The men didn't answer. Instead, they walked straight up to me. General Whitaker, one of them said. We've been sent here under direct orders. The room fell into absolute silence. The word general hung in the air like a blade suspended above everyone's heads. Emily's face drained of color. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Tyler, who had been so arrogant just moments ago, now stood frozen, his confident smirk melting into confusion and dawning terror. The lead officer, a man in his early 50s with graying hair and a chest full of medals, stepped forward and saluted me crisply. General Whitaker, we received direct orders from the Central Command. We're here to secure the premises and ensure your safety. I returned the salute with a slight nod, my expression unchanged. At ease. The officer lowered his hand but remained standing at attention. Behind him, 24 elite soldiers fanned out across the room, their presence transforming the once comfortable living space into something resembling a military operation zone. The bodyguards Emily had brought with her, men who probably thought themselves tough, looked like children playing dress-up in comparison. Emily finally found her voice. It came out as a whisper, barely audible. General? Jason, what is this? I didn't answer her. Instead, I turned to my mother, who was trembling in my arms, confused by the sudden commotion she couldn't see. Mom, I said gently, my voice softening in a way it hadn't since I'd arrived. Everything's going to be okay now. These men are here to help us. Jason. Her weathered hand reached up to touch my face again, as if she still couldn't believe I was real. I don't understand. What's happening? I'll explain everything soon, I promised. Then I turned to one of the younger soldiers. Private Chin, please escort my mother to the guest room. Make sure she's comfortable. Get her something warm to eat, real food. And call Dr. Morrison from the military hospital. I want her examined immediately. Yes, sir. The soldier moved with precision, approaching my mother with surprising gentleness. Ma'am, please come with me. We'll take good care of you. My mother hesitated, clinging to my sleeve. Jason, you won't leave again, will you? The question pierced through my chest like a spear. I bent down, pressing my forehead against hers. Never, Mom. I'm not going anywhere. I promise. Only when she finally nodded and allowed Private Chin to guide her away did I turn back to face Emily and Tyler. The change in my demeanor was instant. The warmth evaporated, replaced by the cold authority of a man who had led soldiers into battle, who had made life and death decisions in the span of heartbeats, who had earned his rank through blood and sacrifice. Now then, I said, my voice cutting through the silence like a whip. Let's discuss what happens next. Tyler, in a last desperate attempt to salvage the situation, stepped forward. His face was pale, but he tried to maintain some semblance of bravado. I don't care what kind of trick you're pulling. Emily has connections too. You can't just. Silence. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The single word carried such weight that Tyler's mouth snapped shut as if I'd physically struck him. The lead officer stepped beside me. Sir, would you like me to remove him from the premises? Not yet, I replied. I want him to hear this. I walked slowly toward Emily. She backed up instinctively, one hand still protectively cradling her pregnant belly. For the first time since I'd known her, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. 3 years ago, I began, my voice measured and deliberate. I was selected for Operation Ghost Wind. Do you know what that was, Emily? She shook her head mutely. Of course you don't. It was classified at the highest level. For 3 years, I operated in the most dangerous regions of the world, dismantling terrorist networks that threatened our nation's security. I couldn't contact anyone, couldn't send letters, couldn't even let my own mother know I was alive. I paused, letting the words sink in. The mission was successful. We prevented 3 major attacks that would have killed thousands of civilians. I lost 12 good men under my command. I was wounded 4 times. I earned commendations, promotions, honors. My jaw tightened. And all that time, I carried one thought with me, one hope that kept me going through the darkness, through the pain, through the moments when I thought I might not make it home. Emily's eyes were glistening now, but I felt nothing. I thought about you. I continued. About the woman I'd married. The woman who promised to wait for me, to take care of my mother, to keep our home safe until I returned. I gestured around the room. This is what I came home to. Jason, I can explain. Emily started, her voice cracking. Explain what? I interrupted, my voice rising for the first time. Explain how my mother, a woman who raised me alone after my father died, who worked 3 jobs to put me through school, who never asked for anything but to live out her days in peace. Explain how she ended up locked in a doghouse, eating rotten food like an animal? Tears were streaming down Emily's face now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it had gotten that bad. You didn't know? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're telling me that in your own house, under your own roof, you didn't know your assistant was torturing an elderly blind woman? You expect me to believe that? Tyler tried to interject. Now wait just a minute. You. I turned on him with such ferocity that he stumbled backward. We'll speak when spoken to. Otherwise, you'll keep your mouth shut, or I'll have my men ensure you can never speak again. Am I clear? Tyler's face went from pale to ashen. He nodded frantically. I turned back to Emily. Here's what's going to happen. First, you're going to tell me the truth. All of it. When did this start? When did you and him? I gestured dismissively at Tyler. Begin your affair? Emily's shoulders shook. She couldn't meet my eyes. 6 months after you left, she whispered. The admission hung in the air. 6 months. Half a year of my 3-year absence. And my mother? I moved her to the servants' quarters after the first year. Tyler said it was inappropriate for her to live in the main house when you weren't there. I thought she would be comfortable there. Comfortable. The word tasted like ash in my mouth. Is that what you call comfortable? Tell me, Emily, when did the abuse start? She was sobbing openly now. I don't know exactly. Tyler handled. He managed the household staff. I was busy with my career. I didn't pay attention. You didn't pay attention, I repeated. Your husband was on a classified mission, possibly dying for his country, and you couldn't be bothered to pay attention to his mother's welfare. I'm sorry, she wept. I'm so sorry, Jason. I know I was wrong. I was selfish. I was weak. But please, you have to understand. Understand what? That you betrayed every vow you made to me? That you let the man you were sleeping with torture my mother? That you're carrying his child while you're still married to me? The lead officer cleared his throat. General, if I may? I nodded. We've completed a preliminary investigation as per protocol when we received the distress signal. Miss Prescott has indeed been conducting affairs with Mr. Morgan for approximately 2.5 years. Additionally, there are financial irregularities we've discovered. Emily's head snapped up. What? The officer continued, his voice professional and detached. The military spousal support payments that were sent to you monthly, approximately $8,000 per month for 3 years, were deposited into an account you share with Mr. Morgan. The funds appear to have been used for luxury purchases, travel, and, he glanced at his tablet, renovations to a property registered under Mr. Morgan's name. I felt a cold fury settle over me. So not only did you abandon your responsibilities to my mother, you used the money meant to support her to fund your affair. I can pay it back, Emily said desperately. Every cent. Please, Jason, I'll do anything. Anything. I cut her off. Would you have done anything for my mother when she was starving? When she was being beaten? When she was crying herself to sleep in that doghouse? The silence that followed was deafening. Tyler, in what had to be the stupidest decision of his life, chose that moment to speak up. You know what? I'm tired of this. Emily, let's just go. Call your connections. This guy might have some military title, but we both know you have friends in high places. Let them handle this. The lead officer turned to look at Tyler with an expression of profound disbelief. Did he just suggest that Miss Prescott call her connections to interfere with a military investigation? I believe he did, Colonel, I replied. Fascinating, the colonel said dryly. Mr. Morgan, do you have any idea who you're speaking to? Tyler's bravado was crumbling, but he pressed on. I don't care if he's a general or a garbage man. Emily has friends in the capital. Real power. You military types think you run everything, but General Whitaker, the colonel interrupted, is the youngest 3-star general in the history of our armed forces. He's a recipient of the Medal of Valor, the Silver Star, and the Distinguished Service Cross. He reports directly to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The mission he just completed has been classified as one of the most successful counterterrorism operations in the past decade. With each word, Tyler seemed to shrink a little more. The colonel wasn't finished. Furthermore, as of this morning, General Whitaker has been appointed as the new Director of National Security Operations. a position that grants him authority over all domestic and international security matters. In layman's terms, Mr. Morgan, he outranks everyone in this city except the president himself. The color drained from Tyler's face completely. He looked like he might faint. Emily was staring at me as if seeing me for the first time. Jason. I had no idea. No, I said coldly. You had no idea because you never bothered to ask. You never bothered to wait. You never bothered to keep your promises. I turned to the colonel. What's the legal standing on the financial misappropriation? Given that the funds were military spousal support, their misuse constitutes fraud against a federal entity. That's a felony. Additionally, the abuse of a military family member is prosecutable under the Uniform Code of Military Justice as well as civilian law. We have documented evidence, photographs, medical records, witness statements from neighbors that corroborate systematic abuse over an extended period. Emily's knees buckled. She would have fallen if Tyler hadn't caught her, though he looked barely capable of standing himself. What does that mean? She asked weakly. It means, I said, that both of you are facing serious criminal charges. Tyler for the direct abuse and assault. You, Emily, for complicity, fraud, and negligent endangerment. But the baby, she clutched her stomach, will be born in a federal prison if you're convicted, I finished. Though I imagine they might show some leniency given your condition. Then again, they might not. I let the implications hang in the air for a long moment before continuing. However, I'm not completely without mercy. Emily looked up, hope flickering in her tear-stained eyes. Here's what's going to happen, I said. First, you're going to sign the divorce papers. All assets acquired during our marriage will be divided according to the law, with the exception that every penny of the military support payments will be returned in full, with interest. She nodded frantically. Yes, of course. Second, Tyler will be arrested immediately and face charges for assault, battery, and abuse of an elderly person. Those are civilian charges. He'll be processed through the regular justice system. 2 soldiers immediately moved to flank Tyler. He didn't resist as they pulled his arms behind his back and cuffed him. Wait, he cried out. Emily, tell them. Tell them I was just following your orders. Emily's eyes went wide. What? I never. You told me to handle her. Tyler shouted desperately. You said you didn't want to deal with her. You said. Shut him up, I ordered. One of the soldiers produced a piece of cloth and gagged Tyler, who continued to make muffled protests as he was dragged toward the door. I watched him go without emotion, then turned back to Emily. As for you, I continued. You have 2 choices. Choice 1. Face criminal prosecution for your role in this. The trial will be public. Every detail of what happened here will be exposed. Your career, your reputation, everything you've built, it will all be destroyed. And given the evidence we have, conviction is almost certain. Emily was shaking. And the second choice? You cooperate fully with the investigation. You testify against Tyler, detailing every instance of abuse you witnessed or knew about. You return every cent of the misappropriated funds. You sign a legally binding agreement to never contact me or my mother again. And, I paused, you make a public statement taking full responsibility for your failures, apologizing to the military families you've betrayed, and resigning from any positions of influence you currently hold. She stared at me in horror. That would ruin me. Yes, I agreed. It would. But you'd avoid prison. Your child would be born free, and somewhere down the line, maybe you could rebuild your life. That's not a choice, she whispered. It's just a slower form of destruction. It's more than you gave my mother, I replied. She didn't get a choice when Tyler locked her in that kennel. She didn't get a choice when he forced her to eat rotten food. She didn't get a choice when you turned a blind eye to her suffering. Emily collapsed onto the sofa, her whole body racked with sobs. I never wanted it to go this far. I swear I didn't. I was lonely. I was scared. You were gone, and I didn't know if you'd ever come back. Tyler was there, and he was kind at first, and I made mistakes. So many mistakes. Mistakes? I crouched down so I was at eye level with her. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is being late for an appointment. What you did, that wasn't a mistake. That was a series of deliberate choices, each one more cruel than the last. I know, she sobbed. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life regretting it. But please, Jason, please have some mercy. If not for me, then for this baby. It's innocent in all of this. I stood up, looking down at her. You're right. The baby is innocent. Which is why I'm offering you the second choice at all. Because despite everything you've done, I don't want to see a child suffer for your sins. She looked up at me through her tears. What do I do? You make your choice. Right now. Emily's hands trembled as she wiped her eyes. The silence stretched between us, heavy with the weight of consequences and crushed dreams. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll take the second choice. I'll do everything you said. I'll testify, I'll return the money, I'll make the public statement. Just, please don't send me to prison. I nodded to the colonel, who produced a folder thick with documents. These are the agreements. Sign them. As Emily signed page after page with shaking hands, I walked to the window. Outside, the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. I thought about the men I'd lost during Operation Ghost Wind. Good men who had died believing they were protecting something worth protecting. Men who had families waiting for them. Families who would never betray their memory the way Emily had betrayed mine. It's done, the colonel said, collecting the signed documents. I turned back to Emily. She looked broken, hollowed out, like a shell of the woman I'd once loved. Part of me, a very small part, felt a twinge of something that might have been pity. But then I thought of my mother, trembling in that doghouse, and the feeling vanished. You have 24 hours to vacate this property, I said. Take only your personal belongings. Everything else stays. But this is my house too. I corrected. As per the divorce settlement you just signed, all property acquired during our marriage reverts to me, with the exception of your personal vehicle and any inheritances or gifts from your family. This house was purchased with my military salary and bonuses. It's mine. She nodded mutely, too defeated to argue. One more thing, I added. If you ever, and I mean ever, attempt to contact my mother again, or if you violate any terms of the agreement you just signed, the deal is off. You'll face the full extent of criminal prosecution. Are we clear? Yes, she whispered. We're clear. Then get out. Emily stood on shaky legs and moved toward the door. She paused at the threshold, looking back at me one last time. For what it's worth, Jason. I really am sorry. I loved you once. I really did. I know, I replied. That's what makes this so much worse. She left without another word. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like the ending of a chapter. The colonel approached me. Sir, we've secured the premises. Your mother is resting comfortably in the guest room. Dr. Morrison is on his way and should arrive within the hour. Is there anything else you need? Yes, I said. I need you to make sure Emily keeps her word. Every document signed, every payment made, every term of that agreement honored. If she so much as thinks about backing out, I want to know about it. Consider it done, sir. And Tyler? He's being processed as we speak. Given the evidence, I'd estimate he's looking at 8 to 12 years, possibly more if the prosecutor pushes for maximum sentences on all counts. Good. I felt no satisfaction in saying it, only a grim sense that justice, however delayed, was finally being served. The colonel hesitated. If I may speak freely, sir? Go ahead. What you're doing for your mother. It's honorable. A lot of men in your position would have just had everyone arrested and walked away. The fact that you're handling this personally, making sure she's cared for, it speaks well of you. I should have been here, I said quietly. I should have checked on her, made sure the systems were working. But I trusted the wrong people. You trusted your wife, the colonel replied. That's not a failing. That's what marriage is supposed to be about. Maybe. I turned away from the window. But trust isn't worth much if it's misplaced. I spent the next hour with my mother. Dr. Morrison arrived as promised, a kind-faced woman in her 50s who had been treating military families for decades. She examined my mother gently, asking questions in a soft voice, documenting every bruise, every scar, every sign of malnutrition. How bad is it? I asked when she was finished. Dr. Morrison removed her glasses and pinched the bridge of her nose. Honestly, it's a miracle she survived. The malnutrition alone could have killed her at her age. Add in the physical trauma, the psychological stress, the neglect of her existing medical conditions. She shook her head. General Whitaker, your mother is one of the strongest women I've ever examined. Can you help her? Can her eyesight be restored? Possibly. The cataracts have advanced significantly, but they're still operable. There's also some retinal damage from nutritional deficiency, but with proper treatment and time, we might be able to restore partial vision. I can't make any promises, but I'd say there's a 60 to 70% chance of significant improvement. Do it. Whatever it costs, whatever it takes. The military hospital will cover it, Dr. Morrison assured me. She's a military dependent. It's fully covered under your benefits. After Dr. Morrison left, I sat with my mother. She was clean now, dressed in comfortable clothes, lying in a real bed with soft pillows and warm blankets. The contrast to the doghouse was so stark it made my chest ache. Jason. Her hand reached out, finding mine. Is it really over? It's over, Mom. You're safe now. No one will ever hurt you again. And Emily? I told her everything, about the divorce, the agreements, the charges against Tyler. She listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice soft but firm. I don't want you to hate her, Jason. I stared at her in disbelief. Mom, after everything she did. I know what she did. My mother interrupted. Believe me, I know. But hate is a poison, son. It'll eat you alive from the inside. I've spent 3 years in darkness, in pain and fear. I don't want to spend whatever time I have left watching my son consumed by hatred. How can you forgive her? I didn't say I forgive her. I said I don't want you to hate her. There's a difference. She squeezed my hand. You're home now. That's what matters. You're alive, you're safe, and we're together. Don't let what happened steal that from us. I felt tears prickling at my eyes. I missed you so much, Mom. I know, baby. I missed you too. Every single day. She pulled me closer, and I rested my head on her shoulder like I used to do when I was a child. Tell me about your mission. Tell me everything you're allowed to tell me. So I did. I told her about the mountains of Afghanistan, the jungles of Southeast Asia, the deserts of the Middle East. I told her about the men I'd served with, the battles we'd fought, the lives we'd saved. I told her about the moments of fear, the flashes of courage, the bonds forged in combat. And as I spoke, I felt something shifting inside me. The rage that had been burning since I'd arrived home began to cool, replaced by something warmer, something that felt like hope. My mother fell asleep before I finished, her breathing slow and even. I stayed beside her, holding her hand, watching over her like she'd watched over me so many times when I was young. The colonel knocked softly on the doorframe. Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you. Who? Secretary of Defense Bradford, sir. He's downstairs. I carefully extracted my hand from my mother's and followed the colonel down to the living room. Secretary Bradford was a barrel-chested man in his early 60s, with iron gray hair and eyes that had seen too many wars. He stood when I entered, extending his hand. General Whitaker, it's an honor to finally meet you in person. We shook hands. Mr. Secretary, I wasn't expecting a visit. I heard about the situation with your family, he said, his tone sympathetic. I wanted to come personally to apologize. The system failed you, General. We promised to look after your mother, and we didn't follow through. That's on us. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Bradford gestured to the sofa. May I sit? There's something I need to discuss with you. We sat, and he leaned forward, his expression grave. Your new appointment as Director of National Security Operations is official as of tomorrow morning, he began. But given what's happened here, I wanted to give you the option to delay your start date. Take some time to get your mother settled, to deal with the personal matters you need to handle. I considered it for a moment, then shook my head. Thank you, sir, but that won't be necessary. My mother is receiving the best possible care. The legal matters are being handled. I can fulfill my duties. Are you certain? No one would fault you for taking time. I'm certain. I've been away from duty for too long already. It's time to get back to work. Bradford studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. But I want you to know that if you need anything at all, you have the full support of this office. Your mother will receive the best medical care available. Your housing situation will be handled. And if there's anything else you need, you only have to ask. I appreciate that, Mr. Secretary. He stood, preparing to leave, then paused. One more thing, General. What you did today, handling this situation with such restraint when you had every right to burn it all down, that takes a special kind of strength. The kind of strength we need in leadership. You're going to do great things in your new role. After he left, I walked through the house, my house now. Every room held memories, some good, some tainted by what I now knew had happened here. I would sell it eventually, I decided. Buy something new, somewhere my mother and I could make fresh memories untainted by betrayal. But for tonight, it was enough to know she was safe, sleeping peacefully upstairs, free from fear for the first time in years. I stepped out onto the back porch and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the men I'd lost were at rest. I hoped they knew that their sacrifices hadn't been in vain, that the country they died for was worth protecting, even with all its flaws. And I made a silent promise, to them, to my mother, to myself. I would be better. I would do better. I would never again be so consumed by duty that I neglected the people I loved. The next morning arrived with golden sunlight streaming through the windows. I woke early, having slept in the chair beside my mother's bed, unwilling to leave her alone. She stirred as the light touched her face. Jason? Are you there? I'm here, Mom. Good. She smiled a real smile, the first I'd seen since I'd come home. I had the strangest dream. I dreamed you came home, and you saved me from a terrible place, and we were together again. It wasn't a dream, Mom. I'm really here. Her smile widened, and tears leaked from her sightless eyes. Then I suppose this is what happiness feels like. I'd almost forgotten. Dr. Morrison arrived later that morning to begin the preliminary treatments for my mother's eyes. The colonel's team finished processing the evidence against Tyler. Emily's statement was recorded and notarized. The wheels of justice, slow but inexorable, began to turn. As for me, I put on my uniform, the crisp dress uniform of a 3-star general, and prepared to begin my new role. The medals on my chest felt heavier than usual, each one a reminder of the price of duty. But as I bent to kiss my mother's forehead before leaving, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. I'll be back tonight, Mom, I promised. I know you will, she replied. You always keep your promises. And as I walked out the door, I made one more promise, to myself this time. I would never again choose duty over family. I would never again trust blindly. And I would spend the rest of my life making up for the 3 years my mother had suffered while I was away. The past couldn't be changed. Emily's betrayal couldn't be undone. Tyler's cruelty couldn't be erased. But the future? That was still unwritten. And I intended to make damn sure it was better than the past had been.